What is up? What is up, YouTube? Man, I'm all over the place. I'm on one computer, two computers. We are rocking this thing. Hey, Diddy accused reveal explicit details from lawsuit. Full interview. What? Hey, we're gonna have to do a lot of stopping on this joint because they have already hit that subscribe button and hit that bell. Let's check it out.
By Sean Diddy Combs.
Brutally? She said brutally. Oh my God, here we go. Wait a minute. Let's.
And his entourage. She says it happened one terrifying night back in 2018. Her recall is crystal clear and specific. And if true, it represents one of the more disturbing assaults that Sean Combs, Diddy, is alleged to have committed.
Oh, shucks. And plus now they saying that Jay-Z was still the next person.
In her lawsuit, like so many others have.
Okay, so let's skip
federal criminal charges that could put him away for life.
Well, we already know all this. We all know this stuff, right?
As a recap, she publicly disrespected him in
Publicly disrespected who? Let's start from right here.
Home of a mutual acquaintance in the Bay Area back in 2018.
Hey guys, thank you for watching our videos. If you want to check out our live channel, the Music Recording Network Live, where we dive deeper into videos that we put up and talk about different things that's going on in the world. You can participate in our chat or you can come on live. You don't even have to show your face. Go to our live channel, subscribe, voice your opinion, because we would like to hear from you and help us come up with solutions. Now, let's continue on with this video.
She says that Sean Combs singled her out because she publicly disrespected him in a FaceTime call and accused him of orchestrating the of Tupac Shakur.
Okay, now this is a different little girl. This is not the little girl that traveled 5 miles down the road and had a daddy come pick her up, and she's a little I forget what she has, but she's a little slow or something. She got a little problem. And she was behind the curtain. They talking about the other girl. They talking about the girl that had, Puffy had help. Yeah, the buddy came through.
She says that Combs and 3 other men her.
Combs and 3 other men are her.
And acting on Diddy's orders. She also claims that members of Combs' entourage stood by, even helped out in the assault. Afterward, she says everybody simply hung around drinking and smoking as though nothing had happened. And even though she was, she says it soon wore off. And
Yeah. I remember this story. We got this on a different video somewhere else. So this story, somebody, the guy, I forgot the guy's name, one of Puffy's friends, and then they was kind of dating each other a little bit or seeing each other. So he said, can you please come over and help me with my pills or something? So she came over, or he came over her house. And next thing you know, while she was there, Puffy just bust through the door. Yeah, you thought you wasn't going to never see me, because she kind of said something like, that don't impress me. So what you see Puffy on, Puffy felt offended. Yeah, Puffy felt a little offended, so he going to get her back. Yeah, so that's messed up, man.
That scuffles eventually broke out, during which shots were actually fired. She even claims that she slashed at Diddy with a knife. A neighbor heard the ruckus and called the police, but Parham says the officers who showed up from the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department didn't offer to help her. She says she didn't believe they ever even investigated. The department, however, says this, and I quote, "A report was taken on March 23rd, 2018. We take these cases and accusations seriously." And
yeah, right. Now here come where my glasses at? I gotta put my bull glasses on. Oh my God, I thought I was gonna be able to see this whole video and put my bull glasses on. Y'all don't take it serious. If that's the case, more people will be willing to come to the police. Yeah, this is getting stupid already.
Detectives thoroughly investigated the accusations. It was later determined the claims were unfounded. Which brings me to tonight. Months after putting her name on a highly explicit, exhaustively detailed court filing.
Now she about to, look, y'all, I'm letting y'all know these people coming out, the lawyers are doing their job, because it's so hard to try a case like this with you don't have any evidence. You don't have no receipts. That's what they calling them now. It's your word against theirs, and you like everybody that's coming out. If everybody come out and just tell the truth, something is going to happen for them. Something going to happen for you.
Ashley Parhams decided to go on national television and answer questions about it. She asked us if we could conceal her face, and we agreed. She also wanted to be joined by her attorney, Ariel Mitchell.
Okay.
Here's our conversation. Ashley and Ariel, thank you very much for doing this. I know this is extremely sensitive. I'll ask the questions best I can, and I'll challenge the best I can, understanding that this is delicate information.
Oh, might as well keep the glasses on. Oh my God, this lady right here, man. I'm hoping that it is right, but I don't trust her too tough. Yeah, this I need to talk to Natanya, because I think Natanya feel the same way I do about this lady.
With that in mind, Ashley, can you tell me how you first even came into contact and came to know Sean Combs?
I met a man named Shane Pierce at the bar, and outside of the bar, he had Sean Combs on a FaceTime phone call.
Here we go.
And he overheard me saying I wasn't impressed by him and wasn't a fan, and that I thought he killed Tupac. And
do you believe that that's what started all of this, that perhaps Sean Combs had a grudge, just hearing that you believed he was Tupac's?
Yeah, I think that's...
Of course, Puffy gotta have heard this before from a lot of people. Man, I know you had something to do with Biggie and Tupac and Kim. I know you hear all this stuff. We ain't the only ones hearing it. You think he don't hear this stuff? And I know you hear that you want to sleep with other men and the McMill stuff and all that. I know you hear this stuff. Even if he's in jail, he's still hearing it. So yeah.
What started it? Because that's when he threatened me that he was going to come after me. And he threatened he was going to eat my face, so I didn't take him seriously. I just thought he was a bizarre human being.
At what point did you come into actual physical contact? Did you see him face to face for the first time? What were the circumstances?
We go.
It was when Shane Pierce had called me, and he claimed he wasn't feeling well from his cancer treatment and he needed help opening his medication.
Set her up.
So I went over there to help him out. And
set her up.
It turned out he was just fine and he didn't need my help. It was weird. He wanted to show me his new car, and he took me on a short drive around the Renda Hills, and then we got back to his little bachelor pad in the house, and he offered me a glass of water, and I drank it, and I started to feel a little bit off. And then I heard a bunch of people coming down the stairs, and it was Sean Combs and a whole bunch of people who just busted in the door and in just a boisterous manner and acting. He said something like, "Bet you didn't think you were ever going to see me." I was just in complete shock and frozen.
And what happened next?
That's crazy, man. Golly. This dude is a monster and a half, man. How dare you do this stuff to all the women? Ah, my gracious.
Basically started threatening me with human trafficking, and that they could take me anywhere and sell me. He had Christina Coram. He ordered her to insert a copper IUD into my vagina, but luckily it deployed before she could actually get it inside me, like inside the cervix. And that's when Sean Combs got extremely angry, and he grabbed the TV remote and sexually me vaginally with the remote extremely violently.
Where in the apartment did this happen?
And it was in the house. It has a little studio apartment underneath the house, and it was on the bed because it was a really tiny apartment.
And was everyone in that party present? The people who had all descended down those stairs into that studio apartment, were they all present witnessing what was happening to you?
I heard more people upstairs that I didn't see. So I'm not incredibly sure how many people were there. In the room with me, it was Sean Combs, Shane Pierce, Shane's friend, who I don't know his name yet, what he called was a bodyguard, who later claimed he was a correctional officer or undercover officer, but he wasn't. And then Christina Coram.
That's crazy. Whew. I gotta take it in, man. I gotta take it in.
And another white woman who I don't know her name.
Did you know who these people were, or have you come to learn who they are because of the alleged assault that happened?
I learned who they were afterwards, other than Sean Combs.
And so now, if you can, and I'm sorry these questions are so difficult. I'm following.
Yeah, they are difficult, man. The girl got all right.
Present.
They took turns.
Oh my God, they took turns.
And Sean Combs, me. Shane Pierce also me, but bad. And the bodyguard guy, he while Sean Combs was sitting in a chair naked, filming it and jerking off to watching me being raped.
Sean Combs was while you say the other members of his party were taking turns with you?
Yeah.
And what happened next?
And I looked for my stuff, my shoes, my clothes, my purse, my keys, and my phone, and none of it was there. And I found a random large black t-shirt. So I put that on, and the knife that Sean Combs had put against my face earlier, where he wanted to cut my face, and Christina Coram told him that it wouldn't be good for me, the clients wouldn't like it. I found that knife because they had left it in there. So I tried to hide it on my left side underneath partially of the t-shirt. And I stepped outside, and that's right where the bodyguard with a gun was. And they told me to sit down. So I sat down on this makeshift bench out of buckets and a plywood. And I just had to sit there and just kind of listen to Sean Combs brag about what he did to me, and that he's gotten away with more serious crimes and no one would believe me. And he mentioned Tupac and
to be.
You know, that's the second time, man, somebody is mentioning that he said, ain't nobody gonna believe you because I did this, I and got away with it. Or I did this and got away with it. This the second time somebody is mentioning, and they got a lawsuit out. So we seeing a pattern here. Y'all get me? We seeing a pattern here, man. Oh my gracious. Here we go, y'all. Here we go.
just having fun with each other, and they were smoking and drinking like it was just a normal day for them.
Normal day for them.
So what happened after that?
I was sitting there on the bench and I wasn't allowed to leave. At one point, Sean Combs threw a fanny pack at me that was full of and I got angry and I threw the fanny pack into the bush. And that's when the bodyguard told me that I had messed up and to go get it. And Sean quickly said, no, she needs to stay there. Someone else go get it. So I couldn't get up from the seat. He was just trying to brag about all his celebrity friends. And I just didn't want to listen to him. I just was sitting there until I could try to run. But there were so many people like around the house and up above near the actual house's backyard where there's a patio where Christina Coram and a bunch of people were just hanging out and smoking and chatting and having fun. Sean Combs turns to me and he says, why haven't we ever partied like this before? And that's when I got enraged and I said, this is not a party, you raped me.
Wow.
And he attempted to bribe me with some amount of money and I said, no, you me. I'm not going to stay silent on this. And then he ended up calling his mother.
What?
Janice Combs.
What? After all that, you gonna call mommy? God dang.
And she got on the phone, a FaceTime video, and she yelled at me not to hurt her son. And I yelled back, he raped me. And she told me to take the money and shut up.
At some point, someone in the backyard brought out and fired it. What were the circumstances surrounding that?
That's when Sean Combs had bragged about getting away with way worse than what he had done to me, and he admitted to Tupac or having him. And that's when the bodyguard turned around on Sean Combs, and I ran behind the bodyguard because I was just looking for any type of person who might help me. I tried to get the but he wouldn't let me, and it went off in Sean Combs' direction into the hill. Luckily, it didn't go into anybody's house.
And I just want to go back to that one detail. Sean Combs said to you that he Tupac or that he had Tupac. Which one was it?
He paid to have Tupac.
Oh my God.
That's what he said in that moment in the backyard, that he had paid to have Tupac.
Yes, and he was bragging about it.
So now a shot has gone off in Sean Combs' direction. What happened after? You're now standing behind the bodyguard, one of the men who was in the room and allegedly assaulted you with the others. What's the next series of events?
That's when I kind of lost my mind, and I had the knife and I ran at Sean Combs, and he started to run up the stairs towards where Christina Coram and all the people were sitting up on the little patio. And I hit him in the back with my left hand, and he fell down on the stairs. He was lying down on the stairs, and he turned back and looked at me. And I had the knife in both of my hands, and I was going to plunge the knife into him because it was a situation. And his face looked so scared that he was looking at me like I was the monster when he's the monster, and my moral compass snapped back in. And I decided that this is insane. I can't do this. I don't have it in me to do that. And I turned around and I took 2 steps down the stairs. Sean Combs got back up and he pushed me, but I caught my footing and I took and I slashed it backwards behind me without looking, and it made contact with him and he backed off. He Then they had me forced to sit back down on the bench, and Christina Coram came down. She had a medical bag, and he was bleeding a little bit on his chest, but not, like, I didn't stab him. It was just a cut, and they put anti-clotting type stuff on and a bandage on him.
Coming up next,
Wow,
what
that's
happened
crazy.
after the attack? And not only that, what is Sean Combs and his lawyers, what are they saying about all of these very disturbing allegations? We'll have that for you in just a moment. You're watching a special edition of Banfield tonight, my wrenching but important conversation with a woman who's now going public about what she says was a vicious at the hands of Sean Diddy Combs and his entourage. Before I play more of my interview with Ashley Parham, I want you to hear Diddy's side of the story. Here's a statement from his legal team, quote,
What?
as the Contra Costa Sheriff's Department confirmed, her report was thoroughly investigated and it was determined the claims were unfounded. Mr. Combs was nowhere near Orinda, California on the day she claims she was a There is no evidence that Mr. Combs was ever in the same room as Ms. Parham. She is completely
we all know
unbelievable,
that's a
and no
lie.
sane person who views the evidence will credit her story.
You know good and well. Man, when she was telling the story, this is the third time I heard the story. And I'm listening to it like, that's messed up, Puffy. Why would you do that? Oh, you mean you wasn't there? Come on, man. That's some bull. Oh, that's some bull.
End quote. Let's pick up our conversation with what Ashley says she did after the alleged assault.
Who would make this stuff
You
up?
were able to make an escape from that backyard. How did that happen, and when did that happen?
That happened because the neighbors had been making noise complaints to the cops, and the neighbor came over to see what was going on one time earlier before the and he asked if everything was going on, and the bodyguard turned on him and told him to go away. But then he came back and
created the distraction
for me to actually run. And that's when I ran towards him in his house. And then someone, I believe it was Sean Combs, from the top of the hill near the front of the actual house, not where I was escaping from, started firing at me.
So at this point, you're making the escape from the backyard. The neighbor is helping. You're running down the street towards the neighbor's house, and there's fire, you believe, from Sean Combs. Did you seek shelter? Did you try to find somewhere to, avoid being shot?
Yeah, the neighbor jumped behind a car, and I followed him behind the car.
And then did you eventually get to the neighbor's house and be able to call the police?
The neighbor had already called the police, and he invited me into the house. And then when the police officer showed up, he really couldn't have cared less about what I was saying. He didn't offer me help. He didn't offer me an ambulance. I told him that Sean Combs had me, and he didn't offer me a ride or any type of help. He just left me for dead there.
Did the neighbor at least report there's been fire? We've escaped with our lives. We've had to crouch behind a car to escape bullets. Did the police listen to any of that?
Yeah, that police officer heard the neighbors say that we got shot at, and he told him what he had seen and heard.
And Ariel, I'll ask you to step in here. Is there a police report from that night from the Contra Costa police to indicate that they had responded to this complaint, and obviously what Ashley says was a complaint as well?
The Contra Costa Sheriff did admit that there was a complaint on March 23rd, 2018, but they claimed they investigated and it was unfounded. So all of the women who have reported alleged to the Contra Costa police have all had their claims investigated and unfounded. I spoke to Ashley's therapist, who informed me that she has treated several, countless women throughout the county who all reported their crimes and the against them to the Contra Costa Sheriff, and all of them were found to be unsubstantiated. I actually have spoken to 2 individuals, one of whom is victim of Shane Pierce, who was by Shane Pierce 6 years before this incident happened to Ashley. She reported the crime to the police in Contra Costa, and they also unsubstantiated her claim.
And I should mention here that these are allegations until proven in a court of law, but I want to continue with this story as well. It wasn't just the Contra Costa.
You got to say allegedly, baby. How y'all doing? Y'all doing all right?
County sheriffs that Ashley made a report to. She also reported this to the Walnut Creek Police and to the Orinda County, or the Orinda Police Department. Ariel, was there any response from those police departments?
2025 about to change.
Orinda and Walnut Creek are city police departments, all under the umbrella of Contra Costa County. So I did reach out to them, and they directed me to go through Contra Costa County. And anybody from myself on down who have made public records requests to the county for these reports and these records have all been denied. They refuse to give us any public records that we are entitled to in relation to all of the times Ashley reported this crime to these 3 different police departments.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming this is still part of the investigation in the lawsuit. So I just want to carry on with what happened next in the series of events. Ashley, the police leave, you're at the neighbors. What do you do next?
The neighbor offered that I could sleep on the couch, but after everything I had been through, I just didn't trust anyone.
Right.
And I knew that they had all left because there was speeding vehicles and screeches when they left. So I just didn't know what to do. I was in a state of shock, and I went back into the apartment to get my belongings, but they were all gone. And the adrenaline had worn off, and my body was just fully exhausted.
Here come the bull.
And
I can smell it.
I was alone in the room, and I just ended up falling asleep.
In the same place.
Doesn't make any sense to people, but the Orinda Hills are incredibly dark and windy roads with no street lights. The idea of running half naked down to police who weren't going to help me anyways wasn't going to happen, because I assumed that they were going to, Sean Combs people were waiting for me.
But why didn't you stay at the neighbor house or something? The one that offered you to stay at their house. Dang, I don't trust nobody. So one person R's you, then you don't trust the whole world. There's more good people in this world than bad people. I mean, everybody ain't no R. Golly.
If I tried to leave, I just lost faith in humanity and kind of just gave up and lied in the bed in a catatonic state until I fell asleep.
And
then what happened when you woke up?
And when I woke up, Shane appeared, and he gave me back my stuff, and he was pretending like nothing bad had happened. So I just went into a fawning type state and was like, okay, we'll just play the game he's trying to pull so I can get out of here. And he gave me my stuff back, and I got to leave.
How did you make your way out of there? You now had your keys and you could drive away from this crime scene?
Just walked away.
Yeah, I had to use GPS to get back to the freeway because it's not an area I know. And I was able to drive and get home. And when I got home, I was just so destroyed. I just lied in my bed for 3 days, not eating, not sleeping. I couldn't function like a normal human being.
That's sad. That is so sad, man. Golly. Dude.
Ashley, the tough question, not just from me, but from any opposing counsel, that would be Sean Combs' lawyers in this case, if it goes to trial. The tough question will be, why would you return to the scene of and a harrowing escape under fire
didn't go
after
to sleep.
finding safety at a neighbor's house where he offered to let you stay there? Why would you have returned to such a terrible scene?
That's the same thing I'm saying.
Everybody was gone from the place, and I was not in a headspace where I could trust the neighbor because I don't know him, and I was kind of afraid to stay in that house. And I had tried to find my keys so I could at least hide in my car. I kind of just gave up on life, honestly. If they had killed me that night, I wouldn't have cared at that point.
And again,
they
I'm
just
sorry to
started
ask these tough
everything.
questions. I do think that
These
I was going to say,
victims.
and I'm sorry that I have to ask these tough questions. I feel like Sean Combs' lawyers will be a lot tougher than I am. It's hard to understand from an outside perspective why you'd feel less safe with a neighbor who rescued you than walking back towards the crime scene where all those horrible things had happened before you could truly know for sure there was no one still left in that home.
Ashley, I'm going to jump in here because I really feel we're looking at things from a very logical standpoint. You nor I have not been in that situation. And anybody attempting to judge the mindset of somebody in that situation,
I don't care what situation you in. Check this out, dummies. Danger. Safe. Well, I'm going to go back to the danger just to see if they still there. Danger, safe zone. Neighbor, friend, I don't care if it's a zoo man, a police officer, he could be what do you call it? What's a bad person that's not real all that bad? Not a R, but my point is, you're safe here. You can stay on the couch if you want. I'm going back upstairs. No, I don't know you. Well, you're welcome to stay, ma'am. I see you a little uptight. I'm gonna go back to where the danger at. Yeah, that's a real ugly. Oh man, don't get me wrong. If you're a victim, you're a victim. But y'all make some decisions for people that's supposed to be so daggone smart in this world. You know, and I ain't jumping on her. Jesus,
it's ludicrous, honestly. How could you not? Great ordeal, not knowing where to go, what to do. And now there's this other stranger who's introduced where she was with the police and nothing happened. Logically, to me, trying to go back to get her stuff seems the most reasonable. She doesn't have her clothes on.
Why would you go back there? That's where all the bad stuff happened. And go back at his house, then go to sleep. Come on, people. That don't sound too great. And even if she did all that, that don't mean it didn't happen. Even if she did all that, that don't mean, yeah.
She doesn't have her phone, her purse, her keys. And now to expect her to now go stay with a complete stranger and not even attempt to, I guess, get out of there entirely. When she thought it was safe to at least go back to retrieve or at least find her possessions. She thought everyone had left. So would you prefer an empty space or a space with this random person that you don't know after you had just been threatened with your life, threatened to be in my mind, it doesn't make sense for her to have just stayed with the neighbor. What she did makes logical sense if you are to put yourself in that predicament where these things had happened to you. So unless we're going to put ourselves in that mind frame to think about what we would do if this had happened to us, which we can't even do. We can try to imagine it, but there's no imagining it unless you're in it. And anybody who's been in such a severe situation to expect or to question their logic, I think it's unreasonable.
Yeah, and listen, I'm with you. I've never been in that circumstance. I can't imagine what it was like to be in your shoes, Ashley. All I'm saying is that at trial, all of that sensitivity goes out the window, and opposing counsel, Sean Combs' counsel, will be extraordinarily tough because he'll be looking, or she'll be looking at 12 jurors, and it's their sensibilities that are going to have to be convinced. And Ariel, that's why I asked those tough questions. But I do want to ask, because evidence is everything, right? Have you been able to get that neighbor, track that neighbor down to corroborate all of this? That would be immensely helpful to this case.
Yes, we are in a process of getting that corroboration. We are working with investigators and other individuals to track down that person. We tried to reach out to that person directly at what we believe the address to, but we do have people working on getting that person to us.
Does that person still live in that home? And does Ashley know what home it was? I understand how confusing a scene can be. It can be easy to, in the dark, certainly, to not remember which house it was. Do you know which house it was and who the neighbor is?
No, we're not exactly sure. That's why I hired PI to get that done.
I do know what house it was.
Well, not the house. I was talking about the person, yeah.
Yeah, but the
we
neighbor...
know the building, right.
The neighbor, he didn't offer to take me to the hospital or the police, so I couldn't trust him
either
as well.
Just to let it be known, outside of the person, the neighbor, the Contra Costa sheriff has already confirmed that a report was made that night. So to the extent there is no dispute whether or not was reported that night. So that's not a question.
Yeah, okay.
Coming up next,
Let it
Ashley
be
Parham
known.
mentioned there were others in the room, standing by, watching, even helping. And when she says help, some of that involved an IV and medicine.
What?
Coming up after the break, what she says happened next and how she got out of the situation. He, Diddy, and his associates. She further says she was given enough a horse. Feel as though you were under any
That's
kind
what
of
they
influence at
said.
this point of the alleged gang attack?
Talking about the oil too.
Yeah. I did feel a little bit off from the water, but before to me, Sean Combs pulled out a bottle of what turned out to be oil, and he doused my whole body in it to the point my hands were dripping, and I couldn't push anybody away from me. And then I just slowly, like, my body started to not function properly, and I wasn't able to fight back or do anything.
And then in the affidavit, you mentioned that as the alleged is ending, Sean Combs takes a pill out of a bag and he puts it in your mouth. Do you know what it was and what effect did it have?
It was a white circular pill. I don't know what it was, but I'm assuming it was like Plan B or something, because the copper IUD didn't work.
Did it have any kind of effect on you? Did you feel as though you became even more incapacitated afterwards, or did it have no effect on you?
I was pretty incapacitated, so it didn't feel like it did anything more to me.
Did that party all eventually leave the room and leave you in that state, or what happened after the ended?
Christina Coram came over. I was hanging halfway off the bed, just kind of lifeless. And she came over to check on my, like, if I was still and breathing and stuff. And she had a bag that had IVs and little medical bottles that I don't know what would be in them. I do remember that they did put an IV in me, but they didn't have a stand. And they put it on top of the table near where Sean had been sitting. And I remember that I grabbed at it and it fell to the floor, and the bodyguard was still in the room, and he put it back on the table saying it wouldn't work if it was on the floor.
Coming up after the
Wow,
break,
that's
when it comes
crazy.
to a civil suit, it all comes down to the evidence. What can you prove about what you say in court papers? And as it turns out, Ashley Parham went to the hospital and there is a report. We're going to talk about that next.
Whoa, there's a report.
Welcome back to our special report this Friday night. We're devoting this hour to a woman with a harrowing accusation that she was by Sean Diddy Combs and his entourage back in 2018. A woman who says she was treated at a hospital days later. She says a report from that hospital does exist. So I asked her what it contains and how it might back up her account. Here once again, Ashley Parham with her attorney, Ariel Mitchell. When you went to the hospital, was it immediately after the incident or was it several days later? And if later, were they able to do a kit that has some integrity to it due to the proximity to the incidents themselves?
It was later.
A couple of weeks later, right?
A couple of weeks later, unfortunately. I didn't have the guts to go earlier,
I don't blame you.
and I regret that.
I don't blame you.
Talk about when you contacted your personal physician for the testing.
Oh, yeah.
STD testing.
I contacted my primary care physician, and I told her that I had been and she gave me all the STD tests and tests that all luckily came back negative.
Understanding that the hospital report is in depth and lengthy, is there anything that you have in the hospital report that can prove or disprove Ashley's claims about what happened that night?
It proves that she went to the hospital and that she reported and that they did, and of course, unfortunately, due to the delay, there was not much that was or could have been found.
Again, allegations are allegations until they're proven in a court of law, and that is where we stand tonight with a harrowing story from a woman with unbelievable details, but they haven't reached a courtroom yet. That does it for us tonight. Don't forget to check out the News Nation app for the latest on this and other stories.
Dude, that I'm not saying again, and I just don't want y'all to get mad at me. Don't get mad at Uncle Mike. Don't get mad at Uncle Mike, y'all, but I don't see how somebody can say this location is dangerous. Something bad happened. I got my tail whooped. I got beat up. I'm blooding, but I'm blooding cool. I'm blooding cool though. Or I'm aured, or whatever happened over there. That's where the danger at. You over here with a neighbor. Well, don't go back over there. You here, girl, you safe. You want some water? I'm trying to help you. No, I don't know you. I'm going back to the danger. That don't sit right. I don't care how pissed off or mad or hysterical and all this stuff you are. It don't make sense. The more fearful you are, you would have, man, I'm not saying stay at the neighbor's house all night long to the break of dawn, but shoot, can you come with me so I can get my stuff and come back later? I need to get my keys and stuff. That sounds more logical. Some of these people seem like, oh my God, man. Now I see why so many people get taken advantage of. And, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying my best to be nice. But that's the only thing, man. But I know one thing. There are too many parts of her story that sound just like everybody else's story. I know that much. I'm going to get on up out of here, man. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.